Hello and welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout. This week we are continuing with our series of team reveals, and yes, before you say in the chat below that these teams will change, we know they will. There's still a little bit of pre-season to go, but hopefully we're almost there. We're sort of heading for the final straight, just one more week to go to finalise our moves. Hopefully, better give you some useful insights, some strategies and the way we're thinking, and some of the players to consider. My name is Joe, and today I'm joined by Utkarsh, who is more commonly known as Zophar from the FPL Wire show, and he's also part of the Fantasy Football Scouts Pro Pundit team. He's going to be discussing his early Game Week 1 draft for the 2021-22 campaign. Soph, how are you?
Doing great, Joe. How are you doing? Long time no catch up.
I know. It seems ages ago. I know. I remember when we spoke on the Meet the Manager series. I don't know.
Feels so long ago, doesn't it?
I know. And you and Pranel, a late riser as well, have been on that show. And you did, and with your FPL Wire hat on, you were involved in quite an epic podcast and video yesterday for FPL Wire, featuring. I've never seen this before. It was 6 people from the Meet the Manager series all together on the same screen. Almost fainted. It was so many high scoring ranks in there. But yeah, yourself and Mark and FPL General and Tom and everyone, and Adam as well was there. And it was great to see. But yeah, I feel like a dad. It's like, haven't you all done so well? You know, coming on the Meet the Manager, and now look at you. But anyway, let's have a look at your team. So I've sort of built this as 3-5-2 because that's what we're considering, and I think that Danny Ings' introduction to the Villa lineup puts a question mark over Watkins perhaps, and so that's driven many to also think about a 5 midfield. So we've got your team up here, and I feel free to go through it really. I don't know, we usually start at the back. This seems the best way, and then we'll get those sort of sexy strikers at the end. But we'll start at the back, and you've gone for Sanchez and Foster. Now, I think I know where you've gone for Sanchez. I know where you've gone for Foster, but why have you gone for Sanchez and Foster? Because they play for different teams, and what happens if Sanchez is injured?
I wanted to ask you about that. Brighton signed a new goalkeeper. Yeah. I can't really pronounce his name, so is he second choice after Sanchez?
You would presume he was, but this time last season, Sanchez was third choice. And then he became first choice. So Matt Ryan was first choice. And then we have Walton as well, and Steele. At the moment, what we know is that Sanchez is first choice. But the thing with Brighton is that they're very a system-based team. So that's why the manager and a lot of people, when say Lamptey's injured or Ben White's off or Dunk's injured, there's such a system-based team that they've got someone to come in. So any whiff of injury to Sanchez, they've got a good backup now, and arguably they might have two or three good backups. So I would say, personally, if I was to have Sanchez, I would probably have the backup goalkeeper, because I can't tell with Graham Potter.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go for Steele. There were some rumors that Bachmann would be leaving Watford. That's why I put Foster in there, because I thought we might get a starting goalkeeper. We might get some value rises at 4.0.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I'd gone for Bachmann and Foster in mine, because I do like the Watford defence. I know you've had it on your show as well. You've had some sort of stats there about how Watford kept so many clean sheets. So I do like them. So it's the same principle with Foster, but I don't know. I think it's Ajax are in looking at Bachmann, but whether he'll go or not, who knows?
It's a bit late in the window now to be actually selling your first choice goalkeeper. So not a good idea.
I don't think they'll do that. Ben Foster pretty handy though. Looking at your defence, so. I like that because this is the same as mine. On your podcast yesterday, there was a question about which of yourselves of these great managers is most similar to you, and I sometimes when you listen to other podcasts, you imagine yourself answering the question, and if I was there, I would have said you, because I always find my team quite similar to yours, and the same sort of decision making, and your defence exactly the same. So take me through your defence. What are your decisions there?
I mean, Trent doesn't really require any explanation, does he? On all set pieces, you have great opening fixtures. I think he's one, I would say around from the starting 11, there are about 7 to 8 players I'm pretty sure about. And Trent and Salah are probably right up there at the top of that list. Shaw, similarly. So my thinking with going with these three guys is they all take set pieces for the teams, right? So ultimately, in the beginning, I don't really know how solid the teams are going to be, how sharp they're going to be, but at least I have attacking returns to rely upon from all three of them.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of multiple routes to points. Classic combo. I can't see. I think the only thing that might stop me getting Luke Shaw is if there's any hint that he might miss the first game just because he came back late. But
I believe he's back in training. I remember seeing that. I think he's very much expected to start game week 1, but we get an inkling of that anyway.
Yeah,
he's there till then.
Exactly. So and there's plenty of choice there to replace him with. Ben White, formerly of Brighton, now of Arsenal. He looks great, isn't it? Well, let's put the fixtures up. I'm just going to put some fixtures up here. Now I've got Ben White as well because you are the manager that I follow, because I'm looking at the fixtures there, and it's game week 4 when they've got a lovely run of Norwich, Burnley, Tottenham, Brighton, and Crystal Palace, and you know that Chelsea and City game in game weeks 2 and 3 are out of the way. So I've got him as a kind of if I need a defender game week 4, in he comes. Same principle, I presume.
Absolutely. I think a sub is required for any positions. Now, Arsenal were the third most frugal defense in the leagues last year. I think City conceded 36, Chelsea 29, I think Arsenal 42, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know they're third. So you're getting a 4.5 entry into the third best defense in the league. And I think that's definitely too good to pass up. So anytime somebody here gets rotated, you have a COVID injury, Arsenal can get a clean sheet today, even let's say against Chelsea. So he's a good sub you can call upon that. And I think for 4.5, he's probably the best value defender.
And you've gone for a 4.0 defender. The Norwich guy, can you give him a go?
You're going to kill me, Joe. Omoba B. Delhi.
Yeah, I'm going to go for that as well. I'm just going to assume it's phonetic. Anyway, him. So you've got him. He's the possibly playing Norwich guy. He's 4 million. Yeah. I mean, I look at him as well. I mean, we don't know yet who the 4. There's going to be no John Lundstrom. I'd love it if there is every season, but that's a one-off.
I doubt it.
Yes. So yeah, I can see why he's there. Just budget. But nevertheless, there is a bench. Let's move into the midfield. I think this is the headline bit, really. You've gone for 5. So what's the strategy behind 5-man midfield, and who have you got, and what's the rationale behind the players that you've chosen?
So from a strategy perspective, Mark covered this very well on the last black box. He's mentioned that midfield is where the differentials can really be made up. And so I like to have like about 2 or 3 template picks with at least one differential thrown in there. And I often find the value for that is in midfield. Now, you can get a 6.0 Sarr, who's a talisman for Watford. You can't get anybody at a similar price up front.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. Sarr, it currently is in my thinking. And he was in fact in my thinking as soon as the game launched. I just thought, Sarr. And you know what went through my head? He was playing Liverpool and all those goals were going in. I was thinking, that's going to happen every week. And it probably won't. But he, as you said, he's the talisman, isn't he? If Watford are going to score, it's probably going to come through him.
Correct. And he has explosive potential, what I like. Yeah, you can see like last season, he did score a brace or 2. And I think in the last 12 matches, he scored 8 goals. So he comes in a lot. He's sort of become almost like a second forward under the new manager. Yeah,
I definitely like him a lot. You've got Rafinha in there. I've flirted with Rafinha, but I've moved him out. Because it's just the fixtures. But then it's Leeds. Do fixtures really count?
That's what it is.
Is Rafinha going to stay? Because he's a player you're probably going to want down the line anyway.
Exactly, because I think he's just sort of one of my glue guys, somebody I would probably want to stick in there long term. And his numbers are so good. We did a comparison on midfielders, XG plus XA per 90. And he was punching there along with the likes of De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne was first, Rafinha was 6th. So I think at 6.5, the value is definitely there.
Yeah. Salah, do we even need to talk about him? Just he's captainable. First game against Norwich. People might want the pros and cons of Salah, but just get him in. There aren't any. Just get him in.
Just get him. And I think Norwich are in a bit of flux at the moment. I was just reading a tweet from Com, where he mentioned that they're having a COVID crisis. I think Pukki hasn't joined training. They have a lot of players who are missing. So I'm actually thinking about getting Jota in also somewhere in here.
Definitely. Now Fernandes comes in and out of my team. Currently in. I think yesterday he was out. It's
I'm surprised you said that, Joe. I thought Fernandes, you'd be pretty set on Fernandes, knowing your style.
I kind of am, and okay. So for me, my team, it's either Fernandes plus Sarr, or Son plus a 7.5 midfielder, Jota or Greenwood. So that's the decision I have, and I like both, so I can't decide. But you've got in this team Fernandes and Sarr. So are you dead set on Fernandes, or will he come out?
It's very unlikely he comes out for me. I think Fernandes he was a top scoring pick in the game last season, and I think it's very rare. We come into a new season and so many people actually are thinking of going without last season's top FPL scorer. And on my years playing FPL, that usually happens only if a player switches clubs or there's some uncertainty. So I don't think Bruno is going anywhere. We might get a few less penalties for United, but I think Bruno's had finally a good rest. He said he's ready to go. He's got some minutes in. So, and he's ultimately a cash cow, right? If I need to move that money, I need that money there in one position. If I need to get a Kane, I need to get a Lukaku. Yeah. He's where I'll be turning to. And I particularly like him for captaincy in game week 3 and 4. I think they play Wolves and Newcastle.
Yeah, definitely. He looks like, Salah looks like a great captain first couple of weeks. We've got Norwich and Burnley, but then Liverpool play Chelsea, so we're going to be looking elsewhere, aren't we? I know this is why I was thinking about Son, and then I thought about the mistake I made in game week 1 last year, when I thought I was ever so clever by getting Martial in, even though Manchester United didn't play, because I thought I'd want him the next couple of game weeks. He was rubbish, but nevertheless I wasn't thinking about the game week ahead of me. And I think you've got to think ahead, but think of the game week ahead of you. And I think Fernandes could be the one, because he's easy to remove, isn't he? But you can't get to him. You can't get to him.
Absolutely. And once you spread the funds around, the two players are going to take you more transfers. So I like having that cash concentrated. And I saw a lot of Son in that friendly. I think Spurs played Chelsea a couple of days ago. Yeah. And I think Son is a top player. But I think as a single sole number 9, it's not really getting the best out of him. He can't really hold the ball. He can't head the ball. So you're sort of restricting what you can do in terms of your attack if you have Son as a lone striker.
Yeah, I thought before the surprise Danny Ings move to Villa came, I thought, I think
we all did like that. That's a good no-brainer move.
I thought Spurs in for Ings once Kane goes, absolutely no-brainer. Son moved out to the wing, effective partnership there with Ings. I thought that's it, but I don't know now. So that does
and also another thing, I think you mentioned you want to captain in game week 3. He plays Watford, and we were just talking about how Watford are good defensively.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know how much of you can work there.
Definitely. So for me, in and out, I think logically starting with Fernandes makes more sense because you can move away from him. Let's come to that 5th player there, Riyad Mahrez.
Now this is a very, I would say, out there pick for me. I don't usually go for a player like Mahrez, but like I said, I like having that one differential over there, and I think City are going to put a few past Spurs game week 1, and then we're talking about Norwich having their own issues. Then we have that game week 2.
And it's a grudge match because Norwich hammered City last time in the top flight. Mahrez also, because I emulate you, I've also got Mahrez in my team, and the reason is with Mahrez is it's also him. And the fact that he's getting all those pre-season minutes, that he's much more prepared than half of the other players.
Everybody else,
Premier League.
So everybody. So we did a bit on expected minutes, points per on per 90, and the point we made over there was that you have to use the stats. We know when minutes are going to be certain. We know when Jota is going to get a run of 3-4 matches. We know when Mahrez is going to get a run of 3-4 matches. That's when you bring in these players. And he can become a Grealish it's a very easy downgrade in one move. So I just want to have someone there for that Sancho, Grealish, Son for that spot.
A few weeks back when I was sort of first tentatively tinkering with my side, I was acutely aware that I was missing that Mahrez role, that 9 to 10 million midfielder. You can have your Fernandes and Salah, and then it's a big drop down. And then I thought, what happens if Havertz? I want him. What happens if I want Sancho? what happens if I want Son? And Mahrez is so handy, isn't he? He's like your flexible friend. You're happy to have him, happy to ditch him. He's perfect. People go, oh, it's a difficult price point. I think he's a lovely price point because he's got so much money. You can, if you wanted to, and you wanted to get Kane, for example, and you can upgrade a striker, and you could put him down to like a 5 million or a 4.5, and suddenly you've got 4 or 5 million spare. I think he's great. I mean, he obviously won't start, and Pep Roulette will kick in, and we'll all wonder what the hell we were doing. But logically, I really like that, and I've liked all these team reveals with Mahrez in much more than the ones without.
I mean, you can really shift that money around. You can get an Ings up front, and get another striker. But in midfield, I think Havertz, I'm a little bit worried about Lukaku. Once Lukaku probably comes in, what sort of role Havertz will play?
Well, yeah, I mean, Lukaku's going to cost, X 100 million.
Yeah, there was a nice debate on Twitter about that the other day.
So,
we were a part of.
And it would be ironic if they got him in and then benched him and then loaned him out to Everton. And I think that they might do that for giggles. But hopefully this time Lukaku will actually be in the Chelsea side.
He will be this time.
I think he's proved himself by now.
He's gone up a level, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I really like Lukaku. Lukaku, I mean, remembering those the old days when he played for Everton, and there's so many matches. I think there was one against Bournemouth where
the 4 goals.
4 goals. He literally couldn't stop, and it's one of those matches where it happens very rarely, where you've got a player, you've got a captain, and they just keep going like an Aguero, and
you almost can't believe what's going on.
Yeah. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, I'm on 40 points here from one player. What? Yeah. More? And it's like oh god, that Lampard.
Yes, I think that was the same week Alonso also scored a brace.
That was, yeah. So those Lampard moments is what you go for. That's the dream. Let's move on to those 2 strikers. 3-5-2. You have gone for Tony and Antonio. Why have you gone for the Tony brothers?
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think of that. So the Tony, I think we had a chat with Luke on our podcast. He was proficient in the fantasy championship game last year. So he really talked up Tony and Brentford style. He said Brentford reminded them of Blackpool when they come up, and that really got my ears up because I like that sort of team for fantasy. You know what they're going to get. They have a very clear identity, and he's a very clear talisman. I think he's got 31 goals, 10 assists. The next guy got 10.
Yeah, if Brentford are going to score, and they've got, it's going to be him. And they've got this, I mean, as a Brighton fan, the makeup of Brentford is very similar. Their chairman has a betting background. He's actually got a City background as well. They've got that Moneyball tactics. The likes of Neil Maupay, Watkins, Ben Rama. There's no shortage of attacking talent they've had there on their books, although some people might say Maupay is not the one. But nevertheless, there's a lot of prospect there. And I think if you're going to take a bet on a player, a punt on a player, I think it's got to be Tony, isn't it? Yeah. His brother, Antonio. Now, can I say the 2 words? You know what the 2 words are.
Go for it.
If fit.
If fit. That's what it is, right? For the first 4 weeks, we're expecting Antonio to start and stay fit, hopefully. Yeah. And I think the fixtures are good with Newcastle. I hear there's a lot of negativity around Steve Bruce. So game week 1 in front of the fans, I'm expecting them. Game week 1, fans are back. They obviously have to play a bit more front foot, right? They're not playing Manchester City or a Liverpool. So I'm hoping, and I think what you have Dubravka and Dalo who are doubts.
Yeah,
I remember reading something like that. So Antonio should get some chances there. Then you have Leicester who have Fofana probably out. I think Evans is out. West Ham's first home game. Decent shout there. Then you have Palace under the new manager, new philosophy. And then you have Southampton who are themselves in a bit of flux. You have Ward-Prowse who's injured.
Yeah, definitely. West Ham's fixture undeniable. The first 8 game weeks got up on screen here, and as you said, it's only really that Leicester game and the Manchester United game that look tricky. And then, as you said, Leicester have only got Sionchu, and I guess they're probably going to have to move Ndidi back to centre back, I presume, which would mean I think they've got a fairly new defensive midfielder. Either way, you're looking like a less tight defensive unit than usual at Leicester. So lots of prospects. I like Wilson actually at Newcastle, but this is the two words again: if fit.
If fit. The only problem with Wilson for me, like again, he is a talisman, but how many goals will Newcastle score? That concerns me slightly always.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's in terms of the spread of players. Because I think with teams like West Ham, Brighton, these are sort of mid-table, could be better, could be worse teams. You don't know. I don't. Like this time last season, I think I did start with Souček, but I didn't know. I didn't know what sort of West Ham are going to turn up. And I still
they were much better than what we all expected. West Ham last season defied all our expectations.
And I wonder if they may be much worse this season. I don't know. We don't know.
I think once a Europa League comes in, just judging by their lack of transfer activity, they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, they need a striker. God, if someone like Tammy Abraham went there, then straight in my team. But with Tony, did you have Watkins at any point? And
yes,
what about
I had
Ings
Watkins.
Move? Yeah, did that?
I had Watkins over Antonio, and I'm monitoring Ings because I really rate Ings as a finisher. But the only thing is, like, how many these lot of new players will Villa be able to gel them together? I'm not really as confident.
Yeah. Well, definitely looking at those, I'm just put the fixtures back up again. With Villa, you want them out the blocks first 3 games. That's what we want. Because looking at their first 3 games, they've got Watford, Newcastle and Brentford. And then it just drops off a cliff, doesn't it? Chelsea, Everton, Manchester United, Tottenham. It's not until game week 8 where they play Wolves where you would play them. So, you don't want any ifs and buts. And that's why Watkins was so good before, because you know what he was about. You knew that Buendia was there. You knew there was going to be some creativity and Grealish going. And then suddenly Ings comes in. So Watkins on the wing.
Yeah.
Ifs, buts, maybes.
That's where he played for Brentford, apparently, for some time. I was talking to Lee.
Yeah.
He was mentioning that. So he's probably going to reprise that role again.
Yeah, no, I think so. Which could make him really good prospect. Could do. We just don't know. And we want that certainty.
I mean, for 0.5, you'd want who you think is going to be the main goal threat, right?
Yeah, and so Ings is a player I can see myself owning, but not from the off. Calvert-Lewin, once again, I don't know with Everton, and I'm starting to think that Luca Dean might be sort of dip my toe into Everton.
Exactly. So for Benitez, what I noticed when he came to Chelsea, his first 2 games, the scores were 0-0. So you know what Benitez is going to do, what he's about. And an interesting stat as I looked up for Calvert-Lewin ahead of our pod, 21 of his goals last year in all competitions, 14 of them were assisted either by James or by Richarlison. That's 66% of his goals. Yeah,
there is talk in the chat, just looking at this as well, about just looking at going back to Villa. So, about, I think we've really explained that, why we're not so keen on Villa, because there's ups and downs. But I personally have dipped my toe again, like you've done with Luca Dean. I've dipped my toe with Buendia, and like with Sarr, and like with Tony, I just think I've just got a feeling.
I'm tempted to go with him in that Rafinha spot.
Yeah, I think that's an easy move, isn't it? To get.
I'm tempted with that.
Rafinha, I think, is underpriced, but I don't think his price is going to go up drastically given the fixtures.
Because his ownership is pretty high also, right? I think most people who want to own him will already own him.
He may go down. He may go down in price. I was also distracted by another comment in the chat from Anand, who says, "Who thinks Joe's face makes you laugh?"
So that's a good thing, isn't it?
Anyway, it just sort of distracted me there. But yeah, no, I think with this 3-5-2, it's a flexible team. Let's see if we can stress test it then with Kane moves to City. He's definitely going to start. I'd say it's probably unlikely game week 2, but nevertheless, maybe he comes on in game week 2, and he becomes just a must own from in a game week or two's time. How do you get Kane in?
So what I try to do every season, and unless it's really, really urgent, is I try to save a transfer in game week 2. Because I really don't believe we have enough data. There's too much variance in one game week to really draw any conclusion. So in game week 3, I could easily do, like, let's say a hit with Fernandes, Mahrez, and one of Tony or Antonio out. And you could get like Kane and a pretty decent pool. I think you could get like some 7 million midfielders over there, maybe 9 million mid. And you have a better idea at that time which teams are starting strong, which players are starting strong. So I like to do that, save a transfer, and then take -4 the next week for 3 players.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that's a good move. I mean, looking back at the fixtures, I think the decision we're going to have, those with Fernandes, who were looking to sort of perhaps use him as a cash cow for other players, looking at Manchester United's fixtures, I mean, they're good, but it's really game week 4 against Newcastle where I'll start thinking, ooh, I could captain Fernandes here. But that's
even
also,
Wolves, but I think you have to look at Wolves this season. They're very different under the new manager. They play a high line and they're quite attacking.
So I just wonder, if I own him, will I actually get rid of him? I don't know. I'm trying to avoid difficult decisions, and I can see that being a difficult decision.
I think Kane has Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
Game week 3.
Yeah. So which is, Kane time, really, because it's a tough match on paper, but it's also a great match on paper because it's the North London derby.
No, we're assuming Kane is at, I'm sorry, I kept assuming that Kane is at City here for our discussion.
Yeah, well, wherever Kane ends up, whoever he plays for against Arsenal, he's going to want to go.
Apologies for the assumption.
No, it's fine. I mean, I don't know where he's going to be.
I don't want my Twitter feed getting hammered.
No. Well, he's currently on a beach in Florida on strike. I mean, well, not usually strikes aren't that laid back. But he's having quite a laid-back strike. Just finally, before we go, let's have a look at who's not in your team. So we've gone for Kane. That's a big one, really. But pretty much any other player you can get in. You've got to find 1 million more if you want to upgrade Mahrez to Son. That's doable. Or indeed Fernandes, just in one move. That's easily done there. Looking at the fixtures they go on, are you looking to wildcard? Are you looking to hold it? Are you looking to just keep an open mind?
And usually the benchmark for my wildcard is always a second international break. I think by then we have enough data, we have enough patterns. You can get an idea who the value players are in each position. I'm not one who likes to leave it beyond that because I think to get the best use out of it, you have to play it in the first few weeks. But I'm not averse to it if the way the transfer window is going, if there's a lot of changes. I'm not averse to using it game week 4 if it needs to be.
I mean, as a Chelsea fan, looking at the fixtures from game week 7, then it starts getting really good for Chelsea. Southampton at home, Brentford away. And
it's a long run.
We'll have, I mean, if the likes of Lukaku are there and starting, we'll know that Chilwell's definitely nailed on. We'll know what Mount's about. Perhaps Havertz has a different role. Who knows? We'll have so much more information, and that's Chelsea time for me. Any other final thoughts about the way the fixtures are going, or your team?
Not much really. I haven't really tinkered much from this, although I do tinker a lot. I've got a bunch of other versions, but it's only really 1 or 2 players that are moving around now. I'm largely settled on my core.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's probably the best way to be, because when you do make changes, you can just sort of move, like as you said, if you fancy Buendia,
right,
Rafinha to Buendia,
because you can look at all the attackers over there: Fernandes, Sarr, Salah, Rafinha, not Mahrez, but Tony and Antonio. They're all talismans for their team.
Yeah, definitely. Good team. I would say that because it's almost identical to mine. Because you are the manager that I follow the most.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Good luck in game week 1. Good luck with the rest of the season.
Thank you. Pleasure.